Hey everyone, it's me again, and it's another video about the Gen. The classic 70s synthesizer that I was like this close to getting working last video. I've been tinkering with it a little bit like off camera because it's something I've been doing when I've been coming home from work, and actually setting things up to record would actually take longer than the time I had to work on it. So I had to kind of prioritize fixing the instrument, because this isn't like a project for a YouTube channel so much as it is a YouTube channel following the project, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'll go through what I did off camera and show you where we're at now, and then we can carry on with trying to get it to work and get some better noises out of it. It was looking very promising at the end of the last video, so let's get straight to it. So at the end of the last video, I was getting the sort of sounds that I was kind of expecting from the Gen, but it wasn't quite there yet. And most of that was to do with the fact that the filter just didn't seem to be working properly. No matter how I set the envelope for it, it seemed to have no effect at all. And going even further, turning the envelope level up and down on its control did absolutely nothing. So something was obviously quite wrong still, and that was a little bit disappointing, but also it gave me another video, so I guess bonus? Anyway, we can kind of see from the schematics that the envelope shaping circuit is the same for the VCA and the VCF. And that's great from a fault finding perspective, because it means that I can set both envelopes to the same values and then use a multimeter to check the voltages on the op amps and the potentiometers, and hopefully wherever I see a massive discrepancy, that's where the issue lies. And believe it or not, it worked. Here we can see the lovely fabled 7-pin op amp. So this little TL82 was just sat there chilling with 7 legs, doing nothing, and essentially blocking the output from the envelope shaper into the filter itself. And this also is where the noise circuit also gets fed into the envelope. So it was doing an awful lot of nothing. The pin that's missing is actually the positive voltage in, which is supposed to be 12.5 volts on this pin, and it has another minus 12.5 volts on pin 4. So I swapped it out and it nearly worked. After testing it, I realised that the transistor that feeds it had also taken a bit of a battering, so that got swapped out as well. And when it all went back together, we almost had a working filter. And I couldn't work out what exactly was wrong with it, because all of the voltages were the same. Everything seemed to be working, and it still wasn't quite doing what I was expecting. So I thought I was going to leave it for a minute and work on the other bit that doesn't work, which is the noise module. And this is an incredibly strange behaviour from this section. So as we can see from the oscilloscope, which, yes, I did use this as an excuse to buy a tiny little oscilloscope that is... I wouldn't use it for much in the way of in-depth analysis, but it's great for a blunt tool for showing me where things are that shouldn't be and where things aren't that should be. And what this shows is that when the noise control is set to pink noise, we get nothing but a small signal out, which doesn't look very noisy whatsoever. It just looks like sort of a crosstalk. The same thing happens on white noise, but when we switch it off, we get what looks like a proper noise output, and that's really rather confusing. So there's only really one thing it can be in this case, and that's a mechanical problem. So it was time to take that module out and have a look at the switch itself. So after desoldering the switch and taking it off the board, it was patently obvious that there was a huge issue here. Somehow this has been all turned around with an awful lot of force, and the little fingers inside that are supposed to make all the contacts have moved around too much and gotten all mashed up, and well, it's just proper spangled. I'll bring it closer to the camera for you to see, and yeah, they're not supposed to look like that whatsoever. It looks like when this was in the two noise positions, there was no contact whatsoever, but when it was in the off position, they were contacting against a piece of live circuitry and making lots of noise that seemed to be going almost straight to ground, which is bizarre behaviour. But I mean, it kind of makes sense when you think that it's all mashed up inside. Now, I could have ordered a new switch and spent ages waiting for it to turn up, and then installed it, and then realised that new components really aren't that great. We seem to be going through another phase of really badly made switchgear at the moment. So I figured I'd try and repair this switch. And it also means that it's as original as it can be, I suppose. So now we have no noise when noise is turned off, pink noise when pink noise is selected, and I'll leave you to guess what happens when white noise is selected. And then the most bonkers thing happened. Reinserting the working noise module, which, as I've mentioned before, goes through the op-amp that we just replaced, seemed to make everything balance back out through the magic of the gods of ancient synthesizers, and everything just kind of worked. Like, I wasn't expecting it, and it all happened, and now the synthesizer works. And that's just amazing. I didn't quite believe it myself, but you can hear. Here's a few examples of the noises that I was getting out of it, and see what you think. As is so patently simple to tell, I'm really not a keyboard player. Not at all. So I thought that I'd video my other half whilst he had a little bit of a noodle. This was the first time he had actually played it since I'd finished working on it. And yeah, you can hear that it sounds like a classic synthesizer. Take it away, Beardy. And there you have it, a working synthesizer. Yeah, it's over, and I don't know how I feel, if I'm honest. As I said before, I've been working on this not just on camera but off camera as well for like the last 6 months or so. It's been a really big focus of my life. You know, I work late shifts 1 week in 3, which means that I only really have like 2-week blocks where I can do anything. So I've been coming home from work and putting in a little bit of time here and a little bit of time there. And yeah, it's been 6 months of hard work and 6 months of, at times, really depressing work. There were moments when I thought I just wouldn't get it finished, or we'd have to scrap it, or, you know, just give up. And that upset me because it's not my synthesizer for a start, you know. John, my partner, he bought it, and he was excited about having it because it was it's the same model as the synthesizer that he used when he was playing in bands in like his sort of 20s, I guess. And the excitement that he had when he got it, and, you know, when we thought it was going to be a simple fix, was something that I didn't want I didn't want to let him down. You know, my love language is fixing shit for people. It always has been. And so there was this thing of I really wanted it to get sorted out, sort of not just for my own edification, but for him. And I'm really happy that it sounds like it does. He says that it doesn't sound exactly like his old one, but I think that's to do with the fact that old analog kit generally, you know, no two really left the factory sounding exactly the same. And then over time, as things age and sort of tolerances drift, you end up with each example sounding slightly different. But he's really happy with it. So yeah, I don't really know what to do with myself now. You know, it's like part of me's really happy that it's finished and it's working, and part of me's a bit like, now what am I going to focus on? What am I going to do when I get home from work? What am I going to spend ages online researching replacement op amps for, and seeing if I can get hold of new old stock chips, you know? Yeah, it's a mixture of feelings. I mean, I do actually have another project I could start straight away, I guess. It's something for me, actually. It's something that a friend's donated to me, because he was like, I know that you could probably get it working. So there is that, but I might take a little break and maybe give the kitchen table a rest from being an electronics workbench for a few weeks, and actually, I don't know, eat dinner at it as a family, you know? That would be kind of crazy. Who would have thought that's what you could do at a kitchen table? But yeah, there's a couple of bits I'd still like to do, I think. I want to take the knobs off and give them a clean, because I think I forgot to do it, and it'd just look a bit nicer. And I also want to, before I fully button it back up, just write a little card to put inside it next to the serial number information that just sort of says, you know, refurbished during this time, just so that should it pass on to anyone else's hands, they get sort of a history of it, you know. They know when it was refurbished, what was done, that sort of thing. Not like a massive War and Peace thing, but just a little card to say, you know, recapped and serviced on these dates. And I don't know, it's something I like to do when I work on stuff. But yeah, that's that's the saga of the gen come to an end. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, click the like button, and I'll be back soon with some more guitar stuff, I think. So thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time. Cheerio!